The last place I wanted to be was Frostnipistan.
This one's wife. Plastic, not so fantastic. Is he a risk? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Well, as Aqua sang in Barbie Girl, I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world, life in plastic. It's fantastic. Similar sentiments endorsed by Lily Allen, and she sang in The Fear, life's about film stars and less about mothers. It's all about fast cars and cussing each other. But it doesn't matter because I'm packing plastic, and that's what makes my life so fucking fantastic. Thus, both of those espousing the virtues of plastic being fantastic. But we all know some plastic that isn't fantastic. Yes, the improbably named plastic-faced lickspittle lieutenant, Omid Scobie. And things aren't going too well for Mr. Scobie, as Sophia Papamavrudi reports in the Daily Express. This one's wife's mouthpiece, Omid Scobie, humiliated as his business hemorrhages cash. Oh dear. What has happened to the arse licker now? Chief Brown-Noser to the Sussexes. He's in a pickle. This one's wife's mouthpiece, Omid Scobie, has received yet another blow, as latest filed accounts reveal his publishing business's capital has plummeted. The latest accounts filed for the royal biographer's business, Me You, report that it acquired just £359 in capital and reserves for the year ending June 30th, 2023. This is quite a downgrade from the previous year, when the company held £35,000 in capital and reserves. Mr. Scobie's work is often thrust into the spotlight, as it is known for focusing on the royal family, and for his ties with this one's wife and Prince Harry. While the author has previously insisted that he is not friends with the Monty Shit Show couple, he's previously spoken about his close relationship with them, with many referring to him as this one's wife's mouthpiece. His latest book, Bell Endgame, released last year, sent shockwaves worldwide with its various claims about the royals. It controversially made claims about the royal race row, whilst it also touched down on various aspects of the firm's life behind closed doors. That included Prince William and Prince Harry's relationship, Princess Kate and this one's wife's rivalry, and even King Charles's bedtime routine. While the author denied the Sussexes had helped him with the Bell Endgame, they are known to have provided insight for the first book he co-wrote in 2020, Finding Freedom. Nevertheless, financial problems appear, and of course, Bell Endgame rather sunk without a trace and didn't sell anywhere near as many was anticipated. Naturally, he sought to drum up interest by including reference, entirely at the direction, of course, of this one's wife, about the royal racists. And, of course, they were named in the Dutch translation. Omid Scobie, being the cowardly little shit that he is, attempted to blame the interpreter, the translator, for the error, but that didn't make any sense at all, because after all, you're not going to translate King Charles, or Prince Charles as he then was, as anything other than Prince Charles, ditto in relation to Catherine, and it's quite clear that those names had been included in the manuscript that he had provided. The problem for Omid Scobie was that Piers Morgan then decided on his programme to out who those named individuals were. Hitherto, the British press had refrained from doing so, and that rather stole Omid Scobie's thunder. Now, there was no further speculation. Whilst there was speculation as to who the royal racists were, that actually benefited this one's wife and Omid Scobie, because people would talk about it. Now it was revealed the power within the speculation had gone. It's akin to the way that mid-range narcissists regularly use threat. The power is in the threat, not the execution, and once the threat is executed, they've lost its power. I talk more about the narcissist and threat separately. You should watch that video. But what this meant for Omid Scobie was that Bell Endgame flopped. And whilst these accounts are prior to the provision of Bell Endgame, one suspects that his position isn't going to look any better thereafter. Now, where does this leave him? because it does rather appear that he has been abandoned by this one's wife. He doesn't appear to talk about the royals as much as he once did. He doesn't appear to be providing any scoops in relation to them. He's largely been regarded by proper journalists as a complete joke person, and therefore has been unable to get appropriate gigs. After all, his journalistic career started off with that bastion journalistic excellent Heat magazine, and then he managed to carve out a bit of a living as a roving royal reporter. But those gigs seem to have dried up. And of course, that's the problem. Affiliate yourself with this one's wife, and you'll end up getting Markled. Because she is the Duchess of Sedim, everything she touches turns to shit, which includes you. And the consequence for Omid Scobie is that financially it's problematic for him, and the work appears to have dried up. It is, of course, hardly a surprise for a narcissist to pop somebody on the shelf. Omid Scobie is a non-intimate secondary source within the fuel matrix of this one's wife, meaning that she will take him off the shelf when she needs him to do something for her, and then he goes back on the shelf. And in some instances, he can sit on that shelf for an awfully long time. It might be that this one's wife has disengaged from him, but I suspect it's more likely he has just been popped back on the shelf and he's sitting there gathering dust. This is common activity because, after all, although he says there's no friendship, there is certainly more than just a working relationship between him and this one's wife, and he looked to her as basically his payday. That looks to have now dried up. It looks like she has abandoned him. It looks like she's moved on to other matters and hasn't considered him in the slightest. And why would she? In her world, she owes nothing to him, and she has no emotional empathy for him. But how might this make the improbably named one feel? Does it raise the possibility that he might turn on the woman that once fed him? Is it now time for him to bite that hand? It seems to my mind that whilst that's a possibility, after all, he's quite narcissistic himself, if not a narcissist, and the fact that she has abandoned him will not sit well with him. He'll be miffed by that, quite possibly amounting to a threat to control, which would result in him wanting to do something about it. This might mean, therefore, that he would be motivated to write something which is anti-Sussex, that he would sit down and think, okay, writing for her and criticising the royal family, that's not worked. That's dried up. She's not giving me anything more that I can be pro-Sussex about. I need to earn a living, and also, I am not best pleased with the way that she has treated me, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm now going to launch a warts and all book about what I know about her and the Prince of Pink Pancakes. I'm going to expose them. Might a sense of loyalty prevent him from doing so? I suggest not. I don't think that he has any real loyalty towards this one's wife, other than it was one of financial convenience for him. Scobie strikes me as the type of individual that goes where the money goes, and if you pay him, he'll write it and be favourable about you. He chose a side, of course, because it seemed like a side that was be lucrative for him, that he had managed to inveigle his way into being chief cheerleader for this one's wife, and therefore it wasn't a surprise that he continued to write pro-Sussex pieces. However, since she's not throwing him any more information, and he looks to have been left on the shelf, I don't think that any loyalty will extend beyond the provision of information to him. However, would he turn into an attack dog that would maul the Sussexes, or basically has he got just a gummy bite rather than one with any teeth? And I actually think it's the latter. Here's why. There's the possibility that he signed up for a non-disclosure agreement, but I think actually moreover that whilst he was chief cheerleader for them, that was it. He didn't get to see the downsides. He didn't get to see where the bodies are buried. He doesn't know about the skeletons in the cupboard, because this one's wife never allowed him that level of access. Instead, he was there as a broadcaster of what she sent him. He wasn't admitted to the inner sanctum. He wasn't allowed to see what really went on behind closed doors. All that happened was she would pass him the bullets and he would fire them. Fire them towards the royal family. Fire them towards Prince William, towards the Princess of Wales. Fire them towards the press. Thus, all he ever did was amplify and broadcast information that was fed to him by this one's wife, and she was selective in terms of what that information would be. He didn't get to see the warts and all aspects. He didn't get to see the temper tantrums, the devaluing behaviours. He was just given what she wanted him to see. And therefore, I very much doubt that he's got much material, if anything, which could actually be used against them. And instead, although he might be motivated to want to attack her as a consequence of the way that he has been left on the shelf, I very much doubt that he's got much material with which he can do that. Do you agree with my observations? This, of course, is a risk to the narcissist, that because the narcissist uses people, there is the possibility that people know things about the narcissist and they may well then go on to expose the narcissist's behaviours to the extent that they can be believed. Naturally, I explain to people that you're much better getting on with your own life rather than continuing to focus on somebody who's abused you. But with regard to Omid Scobie, this relates to the fact of him making a living. And given the fact that he appears to be in financial difficulties, or at least his company is, might it be that he would be tempted to seek a further payday? And might that payday be with regard to attacking the Sussexes, if he's able to do so? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that he would turn on them? Do you think he's got material with which he could turn on them? Or do you agree with me that whilst he might be wanting to attack them, he hasn't really got anything that he can use? I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.